Vince Montero here, and in my previous videos, you may have seen me go through every single campaign type. That includes all the sponsor product campaigns if you're not brand registered, and then once you are, all your sponsor brand and sponsored display campaigns. If you haven't seen that content series and you're interested in learning more about any of those specific campaign types, I highly suggest you take a look at our backlog. But if you did watch those, you may have heard me say things like, we only advocate one ad group per campaign, but I didn't really explain why that is. So in this video today, I wanted to go into some campaign structure, best practices for you, so you understand the key points in what it takes to build a campaign correctly from the beginning. So let's take a look. All right, got some content for you guys today based on a training that I recently did. So we're just gonna go ahead and dive in. Now, the first thing, again, you wanna understand is the basics of PPC. And when we're talking about building out best practices for PPC campaigns, we're really only talking about two different things. How can we create the best organization of those campaigns so that we can have better control over the PPC campaigns? So it helps to understand kind of Amazon's PPC logic when I say that. Now, when it comes to PPC, there's really some things that we cannot control at all, and we leave it completely up to Amazon. That includes auto campaigns and campaigns with broad match keywords, because auto campaigns and broad match keywords are going to get lots of different search terms, or you're going to get ASINs from your auto campaign. That's totally up to Amazon, 100% in their control. Another thing is how much money gets distributed between the ad groups and keywords in the PPC campaigns. We don't really have control over that. So when you create a campaign with multiple ad groups, you're effectively giving Amazon the ability to split up that campaign budget between those different ad groups, however it wants. So let's take a deeper look at that example when it comes to different ad groups. Let's say you set up a campaign, $100 a day is what the minimum I suggest that you create campaigns for. And the assumption might be, if you're brand new, $50 is going to be spent in each one of those ad groups. Unfortunately, that's not the way Amazon works. Amazon's going to distribute that budget however they want at their own discretion, based on whatever the algorithm calculates is going to work better, what keywords are going to work better in one ad group versus another. So again, that expectation might be, let's say you put 4 ad groups in a campaign with a $100 daily budget. You might expect each one of those ad groups to spend $25 if you put 1 to 10 keywords in each one of those ad groups. Unfortunately, the reality is, in the same example with 4 different ad groups, you've got different budgets spending at different ad groups because, again, you're letting Amazon have full discretion over how it's spending that budget. So if campaign budgets really don't get distributed between ad groups evenly, what's the solution? Pretty simple. And this is why you heard me say this repeatedly in the videos: only create 1 ad group per campaign. This might be a little bit more time consuming versus creating multiple ad groups per campaign, but it does ensure that the entire budget that you've set for that campaign flows directly into that one ad group, and then that flows directly into the keywords that you've picked for that different ad group. So this is kind of what that 1 ad group per 1 campaign looks like. Instead of the 4 ad groups in 1 campaign, it's 1 campaign, 1 ad group each. And then we're going to break up the keywords based on search volume, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So how much spend will each keyword get? Same as with the ad groups, we can't control how much spend each one of the keywords gets. We set the budget at the campaign level, and again, that flows to the ad group that's there, and it flows into the keywords. Amazon's going to spend that however they see fit. So how many keywords per ad group or per campaign? So after working numerous years in the industry, I have found that a good number of keywords to have in a campaign is between 5 to 20. No more than that, really, because number one, it depends on the search volumes. But when you start getting more than 20 keywords in a campaign, there's not a lot of money to spread around to all the different keywords. You're not getting any impressions on some of the keywords, and it defeats the purpose of having those keywords in your campaign to begin with. So what's the keyword budget allocation? With all the keywords in an ad group, they should have similar search volumes. That is the only way that you're going to know that the bulk of the keywords in that particular ad group are going to have a chance at getting some impressions. So this is a really critical part of campaign structures that can affect the campaigns. Keywords with different search volumes should not mix. Why is that? Well, if you have high search volume keywords and low search volume keywords in the same ad group, doesn't matter how many keywords are in each. The keyword with the high search volumes are going to suck up all the budget, obviously, naturally, because they have a lot more volume. It's going to get all the impressions, and it doesn't really matter how big the budget is. It's going to soak up all of that budget and leave the ones with lower impressions virtually not having any impressions at all. So campaign budget allocation. Now, this is a pretty common question. People ask me a lot, how much budget should I have per campaign? And I set $100 at the beginning of this, and that is typically a recommendation that you get from Amazon, but there's no perfect answer as far as setting up your budgets. You can set it up and then just monitor it. The whole point of it is actually checking to make sure that the budget you set is going to be effective for your campaigns. You can even use the new budget page to quickly see if you have campaigns running out of budget. And I did a video on that recently about how to use the budget page and how to use budget rules. Now, again, this is kind of a basic pro tip, but if your budget's too low and you're running out, that means you're missing out on a big portion of the day. So whatever time that budget goes out, let's say 5 a.m., you're going to be missing out on data from the entire remaining of the day. So if that happens often, you have incomplete data set, and you can't effectively optimize your PPC if you're not working with a complete data set. So data collection is really the point of PPC at launch. And I've said that a couple different times in the different videos. So last but not least is basically campaign titles and the best practices around that. So I went ahead and I opened an account, and even though there's some paused campaigns here, I really kind of wanted to showcase what it looks like when creating titles, which is a part of your campaign framework. So what you want to do is make it so that you can easily identify the campaigns that have certain strategies or certain types so that you can look them up and then see how they're doing and potentially make optimizations. So as we look through here, H10 is a moniker that I use for each campaign that I know is still running in Atomic, which is the tool that I helped build within Helium 10. So all the campaigns in this account are still being run in H10 in Atomic. So that is why that's there. If I'm working in a different account that doesn't have that, I know that I'm not using that software. So if you are using software, maybe you want to think about putting some kind of comment in there so that you know it's also being managed elsewhere. The second thing that I like to put in is, what is the product type? You can see here, we've got a stationary bike, we've got a hydraulic roller, which is, a rower, which is a rowing machine. We've got an exercise bike. So there's two types of bikes, stationary and exercise bike. The exercise bike is foldable, so it's not stationary. So that's why the differences between those. This account also had an arcade game at one point, which was a basketball arcade game. So you kind of get the point. The second word really should be the product. Now, this could also be an ASIN. I've seen ASINs being used in the titles. You could do that if you want. If you have a lot of SKUs, probably, putting the ASIN there might be helpful. But if you've only got a handful, you can just get away with what is actually the product. So next is, kind of description of what the campaign types are. Now, this is a video campaign. So I know because this says video, automatically I know this is a sponsor brand. But what kind of sponsor brand campaign is it? It's PT, which stands for product targeting. So it's not just a regular video ad like this one here, Video SB. It's actually a product targeting campaign. And that's a different type of campaign. This one's targeting ASINs. This one is targeting keywords. Same with this one. You've got broad and you've got research. Well, what does that mean? I know I've got broad match keywords in this campaign, and I'm using that primarily for research. So it's the type of keywords that are in there as well as the strategy. In looking further, we've got this one here, SKAC, which stands for single keyword ad campaign. So this one basically means I've only got one keyword in this campaign, and that is actually that it follows it. It's in there. You can see the one keyword in this campaign is basketball arcade game indoor. Now, if you do different match types, then you might want to put the match type after this, like broad, phrase, or exact, but I only do exact, so I don't really need to do that. So you kind of get the idea. Now, if I wanted to just do a real quick search of, let's say, all the video campaigns, how are they performing? Because I've named it that way, I can actually quickly see how all the video campaigns are doing at a glance. If I wanted to see how all the single keyword ad campaigns are doing, I can do a quick search for those. And then based on, the results, I can decide if I want to pause the campaign, which you see a lot of here are paused, or if I want to leave them on and continue to work with them. So that gives you an idea of some of the elements regarding campaign framework, everything from the titles, which I just went through, as well as setting up your budgets, as well as setting up the one ad group per campaign, and I give you the reason why. And again, it's all about organization and control, which is super important. As you grow your account, you're going to want to have all these things in place because that is the only way you're going to be able to effectively optimize everything. So hope you like this video, and if you do, please make sure you subscribe for more.